right now if anybody wants to hop on and join.
Absolutely. And we are here. And we are happy that you are here. I am Deborah Cohen, and this is HAPS TV, the Hula Hoop channel, or As Life Happens, or De-Stress with Deborah. I can't figure out which one I want to go with, but I'm just really happy that our special guest is here today. She is a phenomenal woman, and I know you're going to love her story. I met her when I was looking for certification credentials with ACE, the American Council on Exercise, to get a certification at my age as a baby boomer in hula hooping, and voila, there she was. So let me tell you about her. Abby Lee is the creator of Hoola Fit, the only ACE-approved hoop fitness training in the USA, and HulaMonsters.com, Florida's first full-service hoop dance company, which specializes in handmade hoops for fitness, hoop dance classes, and performances. Plus, she is an upcoming author, and I am very curious to hear about her story. I hope that you are too. So without further ado, let me introduce you to Abby Lee. Welcome, Abby.
Thank you, Deborah. I'm excited to be here, and I appreciate you chatting with me today.
Where are you located, and how's the weather?
St. Petersburg, Florida. It is sunny and very hot today.
Ah, very good. Well, I'm a Georgia girl right now, but that could change in a moment because I seem to have some gypsy blood in me. So I am so happy that you're here, Abby Lee, and I know that people are really curious. If you're watching live and you want to ask Abby a question, there is a chat box on HAPS TV, but also on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. So all of the chat questions will come right here on HAPS TV, where Abby and I will be able to see your questions. So Abby, everybody wants to know, how did you leave an executive job? I think it was in New England, and actually end up as an entrepreneur, very successful in hula hoop. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, actually, no. I never lived in New England, but New York City is where I started my career. And maybe that's where you got the new from. But
Yes.
I had worked in public relations and marketing for about 8 years before I went full time with my hoop dance businesses. And to be 100% transparent and honest with you, my reason for leaving corporate America and the best corporate job I ever had was actually to become an author. But it took me much, much longer to finish this book that I've been working on. Honestly, it's been about half my life I've been working on this, and finally submitted the manuscript this past week. So I'm very excited and hopeful that the book will be coming out within the next year. But yeah, and then my passion for hooping was definitely a driving force. I had set up one of the first, well, actually right now it's the oldest running hoop shop on Etsy, and I was selling my hoops at the farmer's market and starting to teach classes. But the writing part of my journey just took a little longer than I thought, and doors started to continuously open in the realm of hoop dance. And so, you know, now here we are almost 15 years later, and I'm a full-time hooper and soon to be author.
That is amazing. So tell me, what makes an author, and how did you decide to be an author? How do you decide to be an author?
I've been writing my entire life. I remember the first time I got a journal, I was 6 years old, and I wrote, you know, "Dear Diary, today is the first day I got you." I was talking to it like a person. And writing just turned out to be a major healing tool and something that came really naturally for me throughout the whole course of my life. And I did go to school for journalism and communications and earn my degree in public relations from the University of Florida, which is one of the top journalism schools in the country. So writing's always been in my blood. And earning the title author comes with having published work. So I'm on that path now.
Yes, we're all waiting with bated breath. I've seen the bazillion posts on Facebook about when is it coming out? I want a copy. And you mentioned something about getting a pre-release email for this book. Is that something you could share information about?
Sure. Yeah. The best way for people to follow along with that journey is to subscribe to my blog site. I have a few different websites, but it's abbyjoanlee.com. That's my writing website. And so you can just fill out the contact platform there, and that's the best way to stay in the loop about the book.
Okay. All right. And can you tell us what the title of the book is?
I've actually not released that yet. So I'm going to keep that under wraps, but I can tell you what it's about because I think people might be surprised to learn that it's actually not about hula hooping. I think people sometimes assume that that's the topic of the book, but it's really not. It's about, so I'm a mental health advocate, and I'm working to help people who have dealt with suicide loss. Unfortunately, that has impacted my family and me in a very profound way. And then also finding the light from clinical depression. So I was diagnosed with depression I was 27 years old. So I remember what year that was. But my book is from the perspective of losing a loved one to suicide, being diagnosed with clinical depression, and dealing with the grief and the healing journey of coming out of that and onto the other side of it. So, I wouldn't have been able to write this book had it not been for coming out, on the other end and being able to be authentic and share my story and my healing journey is really what it's all about.
Oh, that's amazing. And, I think we probably have a lot in common, even though we're decades apart in age. I'm probably old enough to be your mother at 66. Or maybe a grandmother. But,
No.
but I remember when I was trying to make it as a full-time musician in Nashville in the 90s, I kind of hit the wall and went to a doctor to be tested for clinical depression. And they gave me a paper and pen test to kind of determine if I was clinically depressed, because I would wake up in the morning and I would never know what kind of mood I was going to be in. And it was like this cloud, the Charlie Brown Linus guy that had the cloud following. I was like, oh no, it's going to be the cloud. And it would last a day at first, and then it would go away. So I think must be PMS or something, And I never knew when the cloud was going to come when I woke up, but it got so that it was 4 or 5 days, and I couldn't stand the heaviness of it all. So I went to the doctors, and of course that's another story for another time. But so I can relate to what you're saying, and I'm very, very interested in your book and look forward to reading it. So I will sign up myself for abbyjohnlee.com.
Thank you.
And somebody in the chat is Earl Davis is saying, where can I get the book?
Yeah, it's not out yet. I am in the process of finding a publisher. It may be a while, so the best way to stay informed is to subscribe to abbyjohnlee.com, and I will send out emails and continue blogging every step of the way. The publishing journey is a pretty interesting one. Personally, I've made the choice not to self-publish. I want to find a publisher and kind of go that route instead, which is harder and longer. So it's just going to take a little while, but it's coming, I promise.
I think it's much, much needed in the world of mental health, especially today, where it seems like life is not getting easier. Somewhere in this mythical mind of mine, I thought as I got older and retired, things would get a little bit easier, but they're actually harder as you get older. Not to put a wet blanket over you, but that is the truth, at least in my case. But I wanted to ask you, how does the hula hooping tie into all of this, or how is it related?
It's very related. So I credit hoop dance as my main tool from healing from depression. So it was kind of by accident that hooping entered my life. I was putting on the business suit every day and going to my office job as a marketing director, marketing manager for a major restaurant company. And I loved the work that I was doing, but I had this other pull that was becoming an obsession, which was hoop dance, where I'd come home from work every day and I'd practice for hours and be sweaty and releasing endorphins and feeling good. And honestly, the hoop is what brought happiness back into my life. And so it was through this movement meditation and finding flow that I was able to really start my healing journey from depression. And I'm not saying hooping alone was what healed me from depression. And I'm also happy to say I've had a depressive episode in well over a decade. But it was a combination of things, and hooping was a very instrumental part of it. And just this past year, I was able to get my message back by a clinical psychologist who was validating the message I've been preaching for a really long time about hooping as a tool that they're claiming does help to heal depression, which I knew because it helped me, but then to actually have it substantiated by a psychologist was a big deal. And that was the article that ran in First for Women magazine. It was about a year ago in June of last year. Yeah.
Okay. And I think that you're talking about this article.
Yes, that's the one.
Hoola Hooping saved my life. I keep this. This is like a really important piece of paper for me personally. And I share it all the time with my listeners. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read a little excerpt at the bottom of this.
Please. Yes, I would love that.
Okay. What I find very interesting is it says hula hooping eases depression. And somebody goes on to say, depressed people tend to feel weighed down by negative thoughts. Sagers is the person's last name. Mm-hmm. Hula hooping trains the mind to be present, helping to break the cycle of negative thinking and connect with the here and now, which sounds like an easy task, but for a lot of us, especially with ADD running rampant in the school classrooms, which I'm familiar with as a retired school teacher, I know, whoa, a lot of people are on medication. That's not the best way. So hula hooping also combats depression at the cellular level by prompting the release of feel-good endorphins and stimulating the growth of nerve cells that improve the brain's ability to regulate emotions. The proof, here it is. Researchers at the University of Miami found that swaying back and forth for 2 minutes, that's right, just like you do in hula hooping, relaxes the nervous system, lifting mood and reducing stress for 2 hours. How about that, Abby? What do you say about that?
Yeah, that meant everything to me when Dr. Jim Sagers validated, like I said, I mean, I just knew in my heart that it was helping, and it not just me, but it was helping my students who also suffered in that same way, finding flow, getting out of their head and into their body. And then to have it substantiated by this psychiatrist, it meant that everything that I knew to be true was now official and validated in the clinical psychology world, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And we have another comment here. I'm going to put it on the screen here, if I may, if you hold on can you see it, Abby? His Earl Davis comments. I'm going to put it on the screen so our viewers and listeners can see what he's saying. Abby did a show for my wife's 40th birthday party. She's always fantastic. What's this? You do birthday parties too?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of elements of my job. So we do, by the way, thank you, Earl. I appreciate that. So yeah, we do birthday party entertainment, not just for kids, but for adults too. I run a performance troupe. We are all fire dancers. We've done lots and lots of stuff over the years, everything from working with Cirque du Soleil, the NFL, Major League Baseball. We were on America's Got Talent. There's been a lot in the performance realm. And actually, I was just contacted the other day about re-upping our contract with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to help with all of their pregame stuff before the games at Raymond James Studio. So Raymond James, not studio, stadium. That's the word I'm looking for. So we'll be working with the Bucs again this year.
Wow. Now, let's see. Is the Bucs, did you say football or what are they?
Yeah, football.
I'm sorry, I don't follow football anymore.
Me either.
I did when I was your age. I used to love the New York Giants when Phil Simms was the pitcher, and I remember number 89 Bavaro, but that was because he was a hunk. You know.
That's awesome.
So wait a minute. Did you mention fire hooping too?
Yeah, I actually do 7 different fire props, and I train people on fire dancing. So I'll give you kind of the rundown of what my business looks like today, because it's evolved a lot since I started my company back in 2000. And actually, I filed for my business license, my first business license, on February 14th, 2008. So I've been doing this quite a while now. But yeah, so we do everything from handcrafted hula hoops. I run the oldest hula hoop shop on Etsy. I really make hula hoops like all day when I'm not teaching classes. Then we have our Hoola Fit community. So I train hula hoop fitness instructors like yourself, so we can get hooping into more places and more gyms and fitness centers and dance studios. So I'm looking to empower other people to do what I've been doing for all these years and go out in their own communities and build the communities and teach the classes. So we've got the fitness side of it, the performance side of it, which I spoke about briefly, which includes everything from kids entertainment to fire dancing shows and working with big corporate clients. And then, yeah, basically anything hula hoop related. Last week, I did a team building retreat for an IT company. So you never know what kind of opportunities are going to come up. But, basically anything related to hula hoops, I do. And working with kids is these days really what I'm most passionate about. So I'll be launching the Hoola Fit Kids teacher training in the near future also.
That is fantastic. And you're listening to Abby Lee from St. Petersburg, Florida. And yes, I do miss it there. I used to be a full-time RVer, but I just got restless again, that gypsy blood, and ended up in Texas in 2017. And that's where I met my husband at 62 years young. So don't be in a hurry to find your lover. He might come later in life. But okay, so let's keep talking. I can vouch for the quality of your hula hoops. I know I see a lot of things posted on Facebook where they want to know where to buy a hula hoop, especially when you get to be my age. It's like some people are not tech savvy. And the idea of getting a hula hoop in the mail just kind of blew my mind. I had to ask you a couple times, what do you mean, Abby? You mean you're going to mail me? How does that work? So how does it work that you make a hula hoop and fit it in a package?
I'm really good friends with all the ladies at the post office now because I see them every day. But yeah, that part was a little tricky figuring out at first. In the beginning, I used to actually sell or send my hoops full size through the mail, but then the post office changed the way that they allowed packages to be shipped. And I found out the hard way that they wanted well over the cost of the hoop to send it. So I had to be innovative and think of other ways to do it. So now I sell travel style hoops through the mail. That way I can wrap them with recycled brown paper or put them in a pizza box and then ship them out.
They're gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And I bought one for myself and my granddaughter, who she absolutely loves. And by the way, she won a hula hoop contest with your hula hoop. So
awesome.
I'm very proud of her. She's 9 years old.
Good.
Anna Claire. So I want to ask you about how would somebody that has never hooped or maybe hooped as a teenager like I did and 6 decades later or whatever tries to do it and finds that the hoop falls to the ground, is that because they can't do it, or is it the wrong hoop, or is there such a thing as a wrong hoop?
Yeah, so that the answer to that question is twofold. First part of it is it could very well be the hoop itself. Knock on wood, to this day, I have never, ever had anybody come through my class that I have not been able to teach how to at least keep the hoop spinning on their waist by the end of the hour. Anybody can hula hoop. Having the right size hoop is critical. So a lot of times I see, people pick up these plastic toys that are really meant for children and they can't figure out why it won't work. But hoops are proportionate to your body. So it's based on height, body type, and experience level. So I just tell people it's sort of like, getting frustrated if you go to the bike store and you're looking for a bicycle and you get on a little tiny tricycle for a 3-year-old and it's not working out for you. It's because it's not sized for you. So hoop sizing is incredibly important. We definitely want to put people in the right size hoop. I can tell you every morning I answer emails on Etsy from people messaging me with their height and weight, and then I make recommendations for them. So I'm personalizing hoops for people all the time. So that's part of it. And then the second part is practicing and having good instruction. I can tell you, I was not a natural at all. Part of the reason I got obsessed with hoop dance is because I was terrible at it at first. And I was like, this thing's not going to beat me. I played tennis in college. I've always been athletic. Like, how can this plastic circle get the best of me. So I spent the first 2 hours dropping the hoop. And I had, a friend who was an amazing hooper helping me out and teaching me, and I just wasn't getting it. So if I can make this my full-time job, I promise I can teach anybody how to hula hoop. And so can you, Deborah, and so can anybody who's been through our training and knows, the different ways to communicate, say, do, repeat. So we're explaining it, we're doing it, we're showing. But I mean, once people have the right rhythm and the right hoop, anybody can hula hoop.
That's right. And I'm going to show everybody the proof. Here it is. Yes, I did graduate from Abby Lee's teacher training class last year during COVID when I was going stir crazy. And I probably drove you crazy because I went through an initial phase of, I can't do this. And it was really hard for me. And I don't know why, because I was so good at it as a teenager. So, but you had the patience of Job with me and kept prodding me along.
You know what, Deborah? I want to say how grateful I am that you entered our circle. I think you are a really, really great example of somebody who jumped into the training, not having any hoop dance experience. Some people come into the training with years and years of hooping under their belt. They fall in love with hooping first, and then they decide to get their certifications. You jumped in without any hooping experience. So it just goes to show, if you put your time and energy into it and you learn the right way, anything is possible.
Amen to that. And you're listening to Abby Lee in St. Petersburg, Florida, and she's talking about her book and her hoop experience and her journey in life and where she is today, which leads me to a TV broadcast that I saw her on just a few days ago in Tampa. It's called Bloom. So I'd like to play that for you. Would you like to introduce this video?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll also kind of set it up by saying my background is public relations. So for years, it was my job to get my clients on the news. And now, being full-time, spreading the message and the power of hoop dance, I'm able to do that for my own business and myself. So, developing really solid media relationships is a big way that I've built my business over the years. And I was ecstatic about the opportunity to teach Gail Guayardo, who is kind of a rock star news media person here in Tampa Bay, how to hoop dance. And so, yeah, this is our Fitness Friday segment.
Very cool. All right, so let's try to play this.
And a new and really fun fitness trend is gaining in popularity, and it got its traction from people being stuck in isolation during the COVID-19 pandemic. Weighted hula hooping. But joining us today to teach us how to incorporate this fun fitness trend into our workout is Hoola Fit creator Abby Lee. Welcome to Bloom, Abby.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
So what you do is actually a step up from the weighted hula hoop craze that started on during COVID-19.
Yeah, I've actually been doing this for over a decade, and my program Hoola Fit's the only one in the country approved by the American Council on Exercise. So it's definitely fun fitness. We're getting people moving, smiling, and bringing them back into a childlike state of play.
And you actually make this based on each individual. So you're not just buying some random hula hoop, you're buying a hula hoop made specifically for you.
Exactly. We can customize the hoops based on the person's height, body type, and experience level.
That is so cool. And to your point, it's all about having fun and getting your mental health in a better frame of mind.
Definitely.
All right, so let's get started.
All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and bring the hoop to our lower back. We're going to bring one foot in front of the other, keep our knees slightly bent, and we're going to give the hoop a giant push, and you're going to start rocking forward and back. Fantastic. Yeah. You're a natural. Perfect. So we're just shifting our weight forward and back, keeping our arms and hands out of the way. And my whole philosophy is, if you're smiling, you're doing it right.
And I did get in such a much better mood as soon as I started doing this. It makes you feel like a kid again.
Exactly. It's really hard to be in a bad mood while you're hula hooping.
Yes.
And we've got some ways to save the hoop if it starts to fall. One of those ways is to increase our speed. So when we go faster, the hoop starts to travel up the body. And so that makes it a little bit easier if we feel like it's slipping on us.
I like that.
Yep. And another great way you might remember from your childhood, the whole stick your booty out and wiggle. We dip and bump.
Wiggle the booty.
We're lowering ourselves down to the level the hoop is falling, and we're bumping back up with our hips to save it.
Okay.
Yep. And then the third way that we love so much is turning. When we turn in the direction of ours, yes, so good. Then it slows everything down, it gives us more time, and that's when things really get fun, because we can start to move and groove and dance with our hula hoops too.
Oops, I I got too movie groovy. All right, let me get back at it.
And dropping the hoop is totally part of the process. So in our classes, we encourage it. It's just a part of the learning process. Ooh. There you go. Good tip and
Oh, yeah, I did the booty move to get it back up that time.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got it down. So that's what I suggest people do. Pump up their favorite music, start to move their feet a little bit. We can get the arms into it too. Yep.
I got to kind of stick to the basics.
Yes, you're doing awesome. And you might notice too, when you come out of that turn, you want to increase your speed a little bit because that'll help too, because we slow it down in the turn and then we come out and we go a little faster. So,
and this is a nice aerobic activity.
Yes, yeah. We're engaging our core. We burn an average of 420 calories an hour hoop dancing. And so it's all about fun fitness. It also helps with balance, coordination.
How did you get so into the whole hula hoop craze?
So I actually used to have a 9-to-5 office job, and I started doing this when I would come home from work just to relieve stress and do something fun and healthy, and it became an addiction. Fast forward almost 14 years, and this is my full-time job, and I train instructors all over the country, and we also do classes locally and performances, and I have the oldest hula hoop shop on Etsy too.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I hand make this all day.
That's so cool. I love how you built this from the ground up.
Yeah, it's really fun. I definitely smile a lot in my day-to-day work. So.
And what do your clients and folks that visit and work out with you say?
They love it. I mean, I think that is the thing. A lot of times we get so caught up in the daily grind, we get so stressed with our office jobs, and we don't take the time to play, but play is just as important for adults as it is for kids. I think it's just, being silly and getting out that creative self-expression, there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, it is. It is really fun. And if you're in the monotony or you just can't bring yourself, because a lot of people want to do at-home workouts. Now, yes. Can they get their hula hoop from you?
Absolutely, yep. HulaMonsters.etsy.com is where to find me. But the other thing I also want to stress about, if we're just waist hooping here, like you're doing a fantastic job, everybody has a natural direction.
Oh, so switch it?
Yeah, so we can break and reverse. It's going to be a little harder going the other way, but just like in Pilates or yoga, it's important to stay balanced, work muscles on both sides of the body. You're doing fantastic, and all those same recoveries apply. So we can go faster, we can turn, or we can...
Oh, I don't know if I can do the turn this time. I'll give it a try.
There you go, yes, and then you go faster when you come out of it. Find those contact points, and we're just shifting our weight. That's so good.
Okay, yeah. And are you doing online classes?
Yep, online classes are available too at hula-fit.com.
So if we're not in the St. Petersburg area,
yes.
I used to, as a kid, I used to do it on my knees. Let's see if I can still do that.
There you go.
No.
Yeah, for knee hooping, you want to bring your legs a little closer together.
Well, you were awesome, and this was so much fun. And if you want more information about Abby, you can visit courses.hula-fit.com. You do some higher ones as we go to break. Ah, there she goes. All right. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. I'll go old school.
Wow, that was amazing. That was absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Right. That was amazing. You light up like a Christmas tree when you're teaching.
It's really easy to just talk about the things you're passionate about. So, I remember the days when I used to work in public relations and I, be a spokesperson for like pharmaceutical brands and stuff. Not that exciting. Now I get to talk about the things I love, so it makes it really easy.
It's wonderful. And so how can somebody get certified if they want to be a teacher trainer?
Yeah, so we have online classes available. Our teacher training is available at hula-fit.com, and they can study at home, learn at their own pace, just like you did, Deborah. And I really am hopeful and planning to add the live trainings back in 2021. So I'm seeking out locations now. If you want to host a training in your area, get in touch, and we can definitely talk about that possibility too.
All right, so let's ask the question that all of the fitness gurus are asking at this time. Is it really fitness?
Absolutely. Yeah. And having the ACE stamp of approval is what validates that. So I'm all, like I was saying before about, having the message about mental health backed by the clinical psychologist. I really like to just not preach something for the sake of preaching it, but actually have it validated. And that's the reason why we didn't launch Hoola Fit until it had that stamp of approval from ACE, and why I put so much time and energy into talking about ACE, because ACE is considered the authority on fitness. And so that's the place that really makes it credible in terms of the fitness industry. But yes, hooping burns an average, and this has all been validated, an average of 420 calories an hour. It assists with coordination and balance. It does help with your mental health. It brings you back to a childlike state of play. It helps to strengthen the core. I mean, the benefits of it go on and on and on. But plus, I think above all else, it's fun fitness, which fitness experts agree that if you find an activity that you enjoy, you're much more likely to stick with it. And that's why it's so effective, because I can tell you, after all these years, I've never had a day where I'm like, oh no, I have to hula hoop today. I mean, like I said in the TV segment, it's really impossible to be in a bad mood when you're hoop dancing. And so it's fun. And that's why it has that longevity, because people want to keep doing it.
Right. It's that endorphin buzz. And I can also vouch for that. And we have an anonymous Facebook user who's chiming in, and he's saying, I've been meaning to do this course interviews. I'm not sure what that means. Do you have an idea, Abby?
No, but I like this person is interested in the course. So more information on that, you can go to hoola-fit.com, and I've got a whole Q&A section with, if you're curious what's included in the course, or if you have specific questions about it, just let me know. And then Deborah, if there's anything you want to say about it, I know it wasn't so long ago when you went through it, but we're also, constantly looking to keep up with our rapidly growing hoop dance community. So it's evolving, it's changing, and as more discoveries and more exercises unfold as all of that growth, they'll be added into the training too. So we're just constantly staying, on the pulse of what's happening in the hoop dance fitness world. That's what we're kind of all about. So
very cool. So let me back up a little bit with the ACE certification validation. And if I may just share a little excerpt from here, which is confirming what you're saying. I'm like, wow, you had that number right on the top of your head. How many calories do you burn per hour? 420. I'm like, I'm going to have to remember that. Okay, so they did a study in this article to gauge the exercise intensity and calorie burning potential of hula hooping workouts. So the conclusion is, in a nutshell, quote, hooping compares pretty favorably with most other group classes in terms of heart rate and calorie burn, says Porcari. In fact, exercises can expect similar results from hooping as they'd get from boot camp classes, step aerobics, and cardio kickboxing, all of which meet fitness industry criteria for improving cardiovascular fitness by burning 210 calories per 30 minutes. So Abby got her math right. Yay! I think this is amazing. Amazing. And like you said, it's fun. And going through the course with Abby as a teacher is fun. And you make it easy to follow. And on the online classes, you can replay the videos. And as a matter of fact, I have a couple of them saved on my iPhone. I don't know if that's okay or not, Abby, but so I can keep looking at them, because I've been trying to work on that one where you keep your legs together and spin it above your knees. I'm like, why doesn't that thing want to? I mean, is there a certain weight hoop that you have to do for leg hooping?
Not necessarily. That's just one of the moves, much like shoulder hooping, that takes a little while to learn. So just stick with it. If you're feeling like you're getting bruised at all, take a break from it, come back to it. I mean, I have some moves in my trick repertoire that have taken me 3 years to learn. So just know that that's why it never gets boring, because there's always more to learn, and certain skills take us longer than others. And one thing I also kind of wanted to add, if it's okay, about hoop dancing in general, and as it relates to training, people have motivations for why I want to hoop dance. So the reason we talk so much a stamp of approval on this side of it is for those that want to reach out to become instructors. I'm just big on making sure that we're setting our students up for success and we're teaching and effective classes. And that's the reason for the instructor course. But if people don't want to be teachers, we also have ways for them to learn how to hula hoop at home. We have online classes. A lot of times our classes in your own community if you wanted to attend a live class. So, just kind of figure out what path is best for you. And people just like to hoop for, 10, 20 minutes a day just for their own, movement, meditation, mental health, and that's cool too. So, it's not kind of like one size fits all either.
That's right. That's right. And as a matter of fact, I saw a video on YouTube today because, the Olympics are happening right now. And some of the Olympians were given a hula hoop to try to hoop. And, these are Olympians. And it was really funny to see. I mean, they could keep the hoop around their waist hooping. There was a couple of them that could, but most of them are like, why is this thing dropping to the ground? Well, you can tell, first of all, it's too small and maybe too light. And it's a different way of moving your hips. Like when I first tried to hoop for pleasure, I tried to hula hoop like a belly dancer because I had taken belly dancing classes in Egypt in 2000. So I was trying to do the roundy round with my hips. And they're like, no, that's not working. It's a different way to move. But I enjoyed your class. I'm glad I got certified. And right now I have a free Zoom class for older adults. And one of my Zoom people is my 78-year-old aunt, Marge.
Oh, awesome.
And she's learning to hula hoop. So I say you're never too old. Part of it is a state of mind. And of course, you want to have your doctor's permission. If you're my age or older, you got to make sure it's okay to move that way.
Yeah, and if I can add, the really most important thing too for new hoopers is, aside from making sure you're in the right size hoop, is also bidirectional hooping. We want to make sure we're spinning in both directions for on-body hooping because you want to be evenly working muscles on both sides of the body. Just like in yoga or Pilates, you're not going to just do the poses on one side. We've got to do both sides. So
that's right. That's right. Okay, so in closing, Abby Lee, you've been listening to Abby Lee in beautiful St. Petersburg, Florida. What else should we know about you?
Oh, that's a big question. I mean, honestly, just at this phase of my life, I'm all about pursuing my passions and the things that bring more joy into my heart and into the world. So I want the same for everybody, whether that's hooping or pursuing music or art or whatever it is that brings that light to you, do more of it and just keep smiling.
That's wonderful. And again, if you want to find out and follow Abby Lee as she gets closer to the release of her book, go to her blog site, which is abbyjoanlee.com. And if you want to shop for hula hoops like I did and still do, you can go to hulamonsters.com. That's hulamonsters.com and look for her page there. It says shop in the navigation bar and you can see all kinds of pretty hoops. So I would definitely recommend you shopping there. And
Hoola Monsters on Etsy is another great way. That's a way to get right into the shop without any clicking around. If you go just to etsy.com and type in Hoola Monsters, Hoola, that's the best way to find me for that.
Okay. And then finally, if you want to be certified to teach hula hooping, you can go to, hoola-fit.com.
Yep.
And there's two different ways to spell hula hoop. I used to teach English in high school. So what's up with the different spelling?
Yeah.
It makes it harder for you to find people.
But it's important because, years ago, and I'm talking like old school hula hoopers that started kind of the whole resurgence of what we now know as modern day hoop dance, we were getting letters from Whammo, which has a trademark on the word hula hoop, Hula. So I made the play on words that we spell it Hoola because we love circles, right? We love hula hoops, we love circles. And so I made a conscious choice to change the spelling to Hoola for all of my branding because number one, I don't want to get sued by Whammo, and number two, because hoops are circular.
Well, how about that? You are so amazing. Just so creative. You're just a wonderful person to know. And I'm so glad that you're you're in or I'm in your circle. I'm really glad about that.
And vice versa. I love what you're up to, Deborah. You are just rocking it with your broadcasts and your interviews and your music. And I love following all the wonderful things that you're up to.
Thank you so much. Well, I really would rather be hooping more, but I've had a couple of major illness setbacks, and so this is my way of giving back to the hooping community by doing this hula hoop channel and inviting anybody that wants to come on the broadcast and talk about their hula hoop journey. So I'd like to put a little shameless plug in for myself here. If you'd like to be a guest on this broadcast, all you have to do is go to haps.tv/invite at Deborah Cohen and let me know that you've created this free profile. And just like Abby, you can get on the show and tell everybody about how hula hooping has impacted your life. So I want to thank you, Abby Lee. Did you want to tell us a little bit about what's coming up in your future as far as hooping or roller skating? Like what's going on? That Instagram roller skating thing. What is that?
Oh, that's okay. You know what? Funny enough. So I kind of jumped on this roller skate 365-day challenge. I got roller skates for Christmas and I decided that I was going to roller skate for every single day for an entire year. And this is just, honestly, it's a way to play. It's a way to hold myself accountable for the message that I'm constantly preaching about making a commitment to play every day. So it was just my own personal challenge. And I'm on day, let me double check. I think it's 219 right now will be today. So yeah. And sometimes it's just 5 minutes a day. But I mean, you know, every single time I put on my skates, it makes me smile. So it's like hula hooping in that way. I consider myself a play professional today. I play every day. And it's just like, I hold myself accountable to do what I preach.
That is so disciplined. And I remember one of my favorite things to do as a teenager was roller skating. They used to have that old fashioned Oregon and we'd go in this big roller rink with wooden floors. And as a teenager in the 60s, I guess, when love was free and everybody was hippie, I used to love roller skating, but I wouldn't dare do it now with osteopenia in my hips. I'm like, no, thank you. You know, so enjoy yourself, Abby Lee. You're young. And also wisdom speaks here and says, get a nest egg for when you get older. So you're not like still trying to find yourself and money squeezes your dreams because you don't have it. So be smart, save, you're doing the right thing. I wish you all the success. And I really admire your spunk and your beauty and grace and the way you're educating everybody about mental health. So thank you, Abby Lee, for being a guest on my show.
Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate you.
Pick up your hoop.